Hey y'all, Chantel here. Welcome back to season two. I'm super stoked about today's guest. One, because he is my Virgo brother. We just shared a birthday, mine the 17th and his the 19th. And I want to welcome Joaquin Rodriguez to Chantel Speaks.
Thank you very much, Chantel. How are you?
I'm well.
You're
Thank you
looking
for
good as
being
always.
here. I appreciate that. You look good too. I
Thank
told
you.
you that. Yes. So before we get into um, Joaquin Rodriguez, the um, curator of San Jose Montopolis Cemetery Association,
hmm
let's talk about who you are. Who is Joaquin Rodriguez?
Well, as you know, at any given moment, you can be something that is not what you were 5 minutes ago.
Right.
But so I, um, native Texan, raised in West Texas. I was an adopted kid with three other siblings, and we were all raised on the South Plains of Texas. And and I came to Austin to go to UT,
Okay.
but didn't quite make it that far. I made
Mm.
it to Austin,
Oh,
but I never made it to UT.
why not?
Um, I think I was trying to find myself, and when you get through high school, there is this kind of assumption that the next thing that you do is go to college, and I had already been working in radio and TV
Mm-hmm.
before I even hit 20.
Mm.
And I came down here because my former classmate was wrapping up his degree in RTF in radio, TV, and film, and he wanted me to help him with his film project. And I thought how weird it is that you would go to college to get a piece of paper
Right.
that basically was doing the things I'd been doing when I was a teenager. So I came down here and I started applying for some jobs, some of the TV stations, and my heart just wasn't in it. And then one day I was out riding my bike, and just kind of by chance happened to discover my next career.
And what was that?
So I discovered Whole Foods Market, the original Whole Foods Market, which was down on North Lamar and 10th Street,
Right.
and I started working there.
Okay.
And that for me was an incredible college.
Mm.
For me, you know,
Incredible college.
yeah, because I didn't even know what tofu was.
Yeah.
I'd never seen a coffee bean before.
Wow.
Um, there were some vegetables and things I'd never seen before, fruit
Right.
that I'd never seen
Yeah, for
before. So
sure.
I'm kind of a curious person. And so that was a compelling environment to be in,
Right.
on top of the fact that I was working with artists, musicians, um, sculptors, painters, people that are dancers,
Right.
performers, theater people.
Yeah.
So that exposed me to a community of people that I think was this was the time to kind of be in an environment where you had that much of an eclectic group of people working in one place.
For sure. I know you told me that you were trying to fit in. Well, find yourself. I apologize. You
Yeah,
were trying to find yourself.
yeah,
Do you think that that came from, did you know that you were adopted already?
yeah. So my parents were very transparent
Okay.
about where we came from,
Hmm.
and even offered to connect us up to the families that we had.
Right.
My birth mother was died in a car wreck 6 months after I was born, but I was available for adoption basically upon birth, so
Right.
it wasn't that. That's why I was adopted,
Right.
um, but I never really took an interest at leaning into my own family history, really at all. And
Wow.
then at some point in my 30s, I was home for the holidays, and my brother lived in an adjacent town where basically you just drive west or you drive east and then make a 90-degree turn and go north,
Mhm.
and about 20 miles down the road, that's where you lived.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to that intersection that I saw a sign that said um, this town was like 3 miles down the way. And
Mm.
this idea just entered my brain that I'd never saw a photo of my mother before, and thought maybe I could go to the high school and see because they collect all these photos of the graduating class and they
Mm-hmm.
have those up in the hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought maybe I could go there and see if I could find the photo of my mom, and I
Right.
did.
Yeah. Wow.
And through that visit, um, I actually went into the high school. Nobody was there. I looked for a janitor's office. I found an extension ladder. I was carrying it down the hallway and then looking at all these photos all along the hallway and climb up. No, that's not it. Climb back down, move it over, climb back up. And I did that about 3 or 4 times before I finally found her photo. And I was
Wow.
just stunned when I saw her because
Yourself.
I saw
Probably.
myself in
Yeah.
her, you know. So I got back down, carried the ladder back to the janitor's office, and I was thinking I was going to make my escape, but someone called back, said, excuse me. And I found myself as a 30-year-old back in the principal's office, and asked me what I was doing, and I told him. He said, well, I'll see what I can do. I said, look, I just want a photo.
Nice.
And then a few weeks later, I get an envelope in the mail from him, and it has all my mother's school transcripts
Wow.
with her signature and
Yeah.
some photos of her,
Wow.
and another letter that was sealed. And so I opened that up, and he had gotten in contact with my aunt who lived in that town, the sister of my mother, and that was the most incredible letter that I think I've ever gotten in my life.
And this is from
And
your aunt.
and again, this is my aunt.
Yeah.
And so that kind of just fell into my lap by me just asking one simple question: what does my mom look like?
Wow.
And then it's almost like the universe opened up to me. I developed a relationship with her up until she died, and then that led me to
Well, let me pause you 1 second because this is a faith-based podcast. It's spiritual, and so you said that I had this idea in my head that I just want to see a picture of my mother, and I feel like it was spirit talking to you, and like you just said, the universe opened up to you, and so all these beautiful things transpired. But let's let you finish telling how that all happened.
I mean, I think that's true. And the thing is that um, there's a great mystery that we all live with,
Yeah.
and we try to make sense of it through whatever means that works for us. And in some cases, it doesn't work for us. Like if you can go down a very dark alley of drugs and escapism
Right.
and indulgences and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that is harm to the spirit.
That's right.
So I think one has to find their way, and I do believe that ancestors speak to you, and when you really look at one's genealogy, whether you know what that is or not,
Right.
you're basically the liaison of your ancestors into the future. So
Good.
it becomes kind of a spiritual thing. Like,
Yeah.
how can I best represent the people that provided a means by which I exist? So there is that existential element to it.
Yeah.
And it's really helped me, I think, become a better human being, a better man, and just a better human being,
Right. Right. For sure.
And those were unexpected. You don't really think about really, or I never really thought about, like, how can I be a better human being,
Yeah. Right.
But you get involved with you follow your heart. You get involved in good work,
Yeah.
And that good work leads you down innumerable paths,
Right.
you know.
Let's talk about that good work, right? So, I know a little bit of the story, right? But the people don't know. And so, as I stated, Joaquin is a part of San Jose Montopolis Cemetery Association, and we're going to talk about how he got into this work of cemetery cleanup and, helping our ancestors' burials still be honored and treated as they should and not be lost or, treated like nothing. So you stated that you had met your aunt and
Yes, yes.
and so
So I met my aunt, um, and started to really learn about my mother's history because I did not know, and no one knew who my father was. So, it was low-hanging fruit to go with what's available to you. So knew that my mother was from a small town in West Texas, just west of Big Bend, called Presidio,
Okay.
and that's on the border. The adjacent city on the other side, Mexican side, is called Oinaga, and so um, I had gone there in the early '90s, and knew it had made an impression on me. And I didn't really know my ancestry at all back then, but it did make an impression on me. And so, skip to many years later, after my aunt died, I've just felt a calling to go out there and walk the ground that my grandparents and my great
Yeah.
grandparents.
Wow.
And I knew there was so part of my lineage is Sosa.
So sad.
Um, um, that's the maternal aspect of like Rodriguez.
Okay.
Maternal is Sosa.
Right.
And I discovered that there's a Sosa family cemetery outside of Presidio.
Okay.
So I found that cemetery thanks to some local help. And that's what really blew my mind because that was the farmland that my grandparents, great grandparents, great great grandparents,
Wow.
at least four generation of great
Wow.
grandparents farmed,
Wow.
you know,
I know
and
that's special.
yeah, and they have a cemetery. There's over 100 burials there. Most of the graves are unmarked, but when you do research regarding death certificates, they just list that place. They don't like have a plot number because it was on private land.
Right.
So all the graves out there are basically just piles of rocks.
Okay.
But so and I started actually cleaning up that cemetery because some of the rocks were kind of astray from where the mounds were. So I started like, this mic's giving me some trouble here.
I'm sorry.
Some of the rocks were misplaced, so I started moving those onto the mounds. There was creosote bushes that I started trimming because they were impinging on grave markers, and I started doing cemetery work out there.
Yeah.
And then I came back to Austin after that experience and ended up trying to figure out, well, what happened was in 2019, I took a DNA test. I'd already gone to Presidio,
Right.
came back, took a DNA test, and then that really was the touchstone for me to connect with my paternal family. I discovered who my biological father was. My half sister had been living in Austin for over 30 years.
Wow.
So I connected through her, through ancestry. We met. She informed me that I had 8 other half siblings, and they were all back in West Texas,
Yeah.
up in the Panhandle, the South
How
Plains.
did
And
that feel?
I'd already thought that I'd been done with that area,
Yeah.
but it kept calling me
Calling
back.
you back.
So,
8 siblings. Wow.
yeah.
That's dope.
So it was pretty amazing. They all had a party for me, meet me, I meet them, and we're all just very tight,
That's cool.
you know.
I
So it
love
was
it.
all good things. Unfortunately, the subsequent years, I had 2 of my half siblings die because of COVID.
Oh no.
So that was really, really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it kind of plays into what I came into later with work with Austin Public Health, because Austin Public Health really focuses on the the people that experience the biggest health disparities and social determinants of health. You know, where you are in the social spectrum determines how easy or how difficult it is to get health care. So my family fell into that realm
Right.
to a degree.
Yeah.
But once I got back to Austin, I started like leaning into my paternal history, and that's what led me to San Jose Cemetery. And then I discovered there was a second cemetery about 3 miles away that I had very difficult time. I found the location, but I went out there and spent a couple of hours walking around and couldn't find any burials.
Yeah.
And then when I was leaving is when I discovered, when I saw the tombstones.
Oh right.
And I was very much struck by the fact that this cemetery was so neglected. It was so overgrown. And and I didn't know what to do about it. But the next morning I woke up and I knew what I was going to do, and that is clean that cemetery up and try to reach out to the community to find as much information as I could about it. And that was the initial impetus for me to start the San Jose Montopolis Cemetery Association.
Nice.
So we call the San Jose MCA.
San Jose MCA. Okay, like that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
easier too.
yeah.
So before I give a little about the San Jose cemetery, tell me describe what's the significance of the cemetery to you.
I have family there. I have paternal family members there.
Okay.
That was the biggest driver.
Yeah.
And I knew other people had family there too.
Right.
Because you would go there and you would see isolated graves that were still maintained.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, who are these people? How can I connect to them?
Mm.
So, so in starting this organization, I had to do a lot of, research, and I found four community members who also had family at the cemetery. So I talked with them and asked them if they want to be a part of this board,
Yeah.
and they said sure. So that's how we kind of got started, how the Cemetery Association got started.
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of, and basically, one of the things that were very important for us to do was start a nonprofit.
Right.
So we are currently in the process of getting our nonprofit status, which will allow us to get grant money and take donations.
Yeah.
That'll be transparent and legal. And we definitely want to abide by the law.
Right.
And so we've been in this kind of holding pattern until we get that status.
That's cool. We're here, and so we'll talk about how you all can donate to San Jose MCA. I want to share a little bit of what I found on Wikipedia, thanks to also you updating it as well. Existing documentation indicates that San Jose Cemetery was established in 1919 by the Union Fraternal Mexicana. At that time, the Montopolis area was lying outside of the Austin city limits and will remain so until the 1950s. The area was largely rural without essential services and suffered from high poverty rates and crime. Moreover, segregation-era policies prevented integrated cemeteries for people of color, specifically indigenous, Latinx, Hispanic, and Black communities. The cemetery markers provide a rare source of documentation for the early phase of Mexican American and indigenous urbanization in the Austin area. So that land, right? And especially you said that they have found another 3 miles, the second San Jose Cemetery too. What is it that this, oh, I'm sorry. Why is it so important, other than your family and what I read, to preserve, these cemeteries?
I think it's the same. Well, you read about the part about segregation, like when it was like segregation.
Right.
So back in the day, whites had their cemeteries, and they also had city resources, right? Meanwhile, Black and brown people had to come together in their respective communities
Right. And
and provide their own,
Yeah.
as as we have done throughout history.
Right.
In fact, just as an aside, in doing this work, I connected up with what I consider the matriarch of cemetery work, and that's Sue Spears.
Mm-hmm.
She works with Bethany Cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
and these are all slave cemeteries.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all fighting the same battles:
Right.
nature, lack of resources,
Right.
A great need for community involvement,
Right.
because the ancestors of those people are walking among us.
Right.
I think the bigger challenge is for the Black community, because the diaspora of that community has been spread out
Yeah.
in Hutto and Taylor
Right.
and
Pflugerville, that's right.
Pflugerville, right? and so, but the Hispanic, Latino, Latinx community has remained relatively
And
solid in Montopolis and
right,
Del Valle
right,
and those areas,
right.
and the 78744 zip code. Um, so I think for me, it's like these people, both black and brown, were essential to the building of Austin.
Mm,
And that recognition needs to stay in the forefront, especially in the times we are in right now.
right.
But there is no justifiable reason in my mind why cemeteries should go neglected. They're sacred spaces, and when we let them fall into disrepair and vandalism and neglect, that is that is an incredible. I mean, it's sacrilege in my mind.
Mm, yeah.
So, um, but and it's almost like once you become aware of something,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot take action.
Right.
You can choose to just not do anything, but in the back of your mind, it'll always be there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and that's called conscience.
Yeah.
So once you become aware of something,
Right.
you could not act on it,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean it doesn't. It will not go away.
Right.
So it can begin to haunt you,
That's
you know,
true.
or it can funnel into behavior
Right.
that expresses itself in perhaps an unhealthy way.
Mm.
But I think that because I have blood in in the ground,
Yeah.
it's especially meaningful for me
Sure.
because I even though I didn't know them, um, I am
They're a part
I'm
of you.
respecting
Yeah,
they are a
for
part of
real.
me.
They're,
Yeah.
yes, respect. I mean, that's just like with me. Like, I don't think I have any relatives probably in Bethany Cemetery, but like you said, when you know something, you want to do something. And I'm all about doing good work. So I'm like, I'm going to come clean up one day with you all.
Hmm.
So tell the people how they can get involved in the coalition and some of the events that you all have going on.
So it's interesting that you use the word coalition because I never used that word.
Okay.
But here's the thing: it's an organization, and I really appreciate you bringing up the word coalition
Yeah.
because, as I mentioned before, um, all of us we all have the same problems,
Right.
and we can go to council as Bethany Cemetery or as San Jose Cemetery and go, City Council, do something,
Right. Right.
and then somebody else,
Yeah.
another day, another week, another month, another year can go to City Council. Hey, we're Park Springs Cemetery. Can
Right.
you help us?
Right.
But generally, nothing ever happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I've talked to all the people that I've mentioned,
Yeah.
and we're going to form a cemetery coalition,
Good.
which will be separate from our individual organizations.
Right.
But it'll be a way that we can then advocate
Right.
for us as an entity,
Right.
with the
For
city,
funding.
because
Right. Yeah.
you may have heard that story about you take one stick, and, you can break it pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
You put two sticks together, you can still break that pretty easily, but you get three, you get a bundle of sticks
Oh yeah.
together,
We're better together.
it's much better,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
more difficult to break. So
Right.
we, so that's something that we'll be working on for the next couple of years, creating this coalition.
Okay.
But you know, we all have Facebook pages, we all have Instagram pages, and we all support each other's work. So I'll go to Bethany's Cemetery cleanup. They'll
Yeah.
come to us, and this is a kind of a moving, uh, movable feast
Yeah.
of people really helping each other and understanding what this work really means, especially to marginalized, quote unquote, marginalized communities,
Right.
because the city ain't doing it for us,
Yeah.
you know.
And do you think that you all can advocate to the county as well? Because it's like I feel like a lot of people forget about the county.
I think that's an excellent point because when I've done archival, work with pulling up news articles from, say, the Austin Statesman, there was a time where the county was a lot more involved in the cemeteries.
Right.
But I think there were voices back then
Yeah.
that were much more vocal than
Right.
what has happened over the last, say, 30 years,
Yeah.
when the cemeteries really haven't had a voice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time to renew those voices and to involve as many resources as possible, and the county's definitely one of them. And I think there has been some discussion about talking in front of the commissioner's court, but again, you tend to gain more credibility the better organized you are.
Oh yeah.
So I think once we get this designation as a nonprofit,
Okay.
it'll be a much more empowering
Right.
um, thing,
Solid. Yeah.
and it'll also lend to the credibility.
For
You
sure.
know,
For sure. Okay. So share how people can get involved, and I know that you have something going on with the Day of the Dead.
yes, yes. So really, the biggest organizing um, thing that we can do right now is centered around Dia de Muertos, which is November 1st and 2nd.
Let me say it. I like to say it. Dias de los Muertos.
Dia
Dia
de
de
Muertos.
Muertos. Oh, I added too much.
That's it.
Dia de Muertos.
Some people do put a loss in there, but it's
Yeah.
not really necessary.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, Dia de Muertos or Day of the Dead. Um, a lot of people don't really know what that's really about. Um, it actually is a kind of a collision between indigenous, spiritual, I wouldn't say religious, but indigenous beliefs
Yeah.
and Catholicism due to Spanish colonization. So it's almost like in the black church, right? The black community has taken the gospel and made it their own thing, which is quite different than Methodist, you know,
Music.
or Episcopalian or these other denominations within the Christian pantheon, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, so for some of the indigenous population or indigenous people, their families or their great grandparents maybe had put an altar up. Or when you go into Mexico and during this time of the year, it's really important to a lot of people. I mean, people are spending the night in the graveyard. They make these incredibly elaborate altars called ofrendas for their family. And there's
Made
kind of,
one before.
say again?
I've made one before. It wasn't incredible, but it was an honorary
Yeah.
altar.
It can be modest
Yeah.
or it can be as
Yeah.
grand as
Right.
as the family wants to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
They're basically three levels of the altar, and they're decorated with flowers. There's a certain flower called cempasúchil. It's basically marigolds. There's another flower called coxcomb. I don't know the indigenous name of that or the Nahuatl name of that.
That's one thing I didn't know though. I did not know that it was 3 levels. So, because like we have an altar at our job, like we celebrate that, we honor the Day of the Dead, and like I said, I made an altar at home for relatives who have passed on and transitioned, and I had the marigolds, but I didn't know that it was 3 levels.
Yeah, the Mexican American Cultural Center has their own Dia de Muertos event, and they have one of their rooms have a lot of ofrendas set up, and they're very different from each other, but there is some commonality in them, and I invite your audience to check out that event at the Mexican American Cultural Center,
Okay.
and then coupled with that, there is the Vida la Vida celebration put on by Mexicarte, which draws a lot of communities and a lot of people in the community. And it's, I think, an afternoon of some really great music and community and face
Where is
painting
that at?
downtown.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like when I was working at the hotel last year, people were here for that specific event. Like,
That's
I
right.
remember people saying that they were here
Yeah.
for that.
So what we do, because I've gone to numerous Dia de Muertos in Mexico, so I feel I'm saying I'm an expert, but I have a good feel of what seems authentic. So coming into this cemetery work really allowed me to say, we should have that here.
Right.
And so the largest organizational thing that we do, the biggest calling card that the San Jose MCA does is do this 2-day event on November 1st and 2nd. We have the luxury of having a cemetery,
Yeah.
of being able to include our community
Right.
in those celebrations. And so we definitely invite everybody to come. precipitating that, we have last year we had the first community tamalada, which is a tamale making.
Ooh.
People come together and we make tamales to give away for free at the
Mm.
cemetery, along with horchata and some hot chocolate.
When was this?
And
I
huh?
want to come next time. When was this? I
Yeah,
want to
this is
come.
coming.
I
This is going to be
tamales.
November.
I love tamales and horchata too.
This is going to be November 1st and 2nd, the
Okay. Oh,
evening.
so you're gonna do it again? Okay.
We're
Okay.
doing it every year,
Right. Okay.
so
Got
it's a 2-day event because
Okay. I misheard you. I'm sorry. I thought you
that's
said
okay,
it. Okay.
no problem. So November 1st
Right.
is Dia de Muertos para los Niños,
Mhm.
for the children.
Right.
So we have that event at the other cemetery, at the San Jose 2 Cemetery,
Right.
which is just south of 71.
Okay.
And then for November the 2nd,
Right.
the adult Dia de Muertos, we have that at the Montopolis Cemetery.
Okay.
And we have people that go to both events or one or the other. We have high school mariachis that are
Okay.
playing. We have, of course, the free food.
Yeah.
Uh, we have local musicians,
Yeah.
and we have Danza Azteca. So we have a couple of Aztec dance groups that work with us.
Yeah.
And of course, the work they do is done in prayer,
Mm-hmm.
very sacred to them as well. And this is all kind of leans into our indigenous roots.
Right.
Um,
So that's November 1st and November 2nd. Is there a time?
yeah. So we're looking at usually a start time is around 6 o'clock,
Mm.
and Saturday goes later than Sunday,
Mm.
but that's the end of the official events because
Mm.
it's pretty amazing that people will linger after the event is over and just commune and
Yeah.
talk in the cemetery. And but the timelines are basically 6 to, I think, 10 or 6 to 11, which is on Saturday, and then it'll be 6 to 10, maybe 9 o'clock on November the 2nd. But the main events that we have there will be scheduled within that time frame. And then if you're welcome to hang out and just commune with people, I mean, last year at San Jose Cemetery on Montopolis, we had people just hanging out till like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
How can they reach you to get involved and come?
So we have probably the easiest way, just in terms of speaking. We have an Instagram page called San Jose Cemetery ATX.
Okay.
That's the easiest way. But we also have a Facebook page, a community page that you can get via a Facebook page that's called ATX Hispanic Cemetery.
Okay.
But
And we'll
we can
put all
provide
this in the
provide the
description.
graphics that
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
will
yeah.
make that a lot easier for people. But really, the easiest channel, just chit chatting how we're doing now,
Right.
is the San Jose Cemetery ATX Instagram page.
And so when is the next cleanup? Like, how can people get involved to come clean up the cemeteries and keep them?
Yes, you're asking some great questions.
That's what I'm here for.
So this is the busiest time of the year for us because we're coming out of the dreaded summer where nobody wants to do anything, and we are not at all willing to risk people's lives to go out to the cemetery to do work. So we have a fall cleanup happening,
Okay.
and that will happen, I think, on October 18th and 19th,
Okay.
right? That's 2 weeks before November 1st and 2nd.
Right.
And then, and again, that information will be available on the Instagram page. And then on top of that, a few days before October 30th, I guess, we'll have the Tamalada, which is the community making tamale event, and then November 1st and 2nd. And I would encourage anyone who wants to do even the smallest part to just show up on November 1st and 2nd.
Yeah.
You could also send an email to info@sanjosemca.org,
Okay.
and that will kind of, because when you put on these events, when you put on any event, it's always better do it as organized as you can.
Yeah.
So we try to do as much work in advance and as much communication in advance, so we're not just all going crazy during the
Right.
day it's happening. So those the Instagram page and then the info at sanjosemca.org is really.
What time is the community cleanup?
The community cleanup generally starts at 8 and goes until about noon or 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Depends on the weather. Generally, it gets pretty warm around noon, even in October. So we try to just not stress people out. And we also have sponsors that bring tacos and coffee, and so we fruit, and so we feed the people that help us out.
To you now.
You know about food, man.
Yes.
Like a great food's a great organizer.
Facts. It definitely is.
This is very true.
Okay, so I want to make sure that I asked all of my questions because I do have one last question that I want to leave out with, and that is for you personally. What does this work mean in terms of healing and legacy?
I think in terms of healing, for me personally, and kind of discovering my own ancestry, um, and I think I can just also mention that in this capitalist American culture, um, it favors uh, a group of people over others.
Facts.
And there's a lot of harm that's caused in that
Much
historically.
harm. Yep.
So when you stand up and when you learn about the harm that your ancestors, your grandparents, your great grandparents, even your parents have suffered, you want to break that cycle.
Right.
And so for me, and other people have other justified ways of doing this for themselves. But for me, this work kind of repairs the past in a way,
Oh, yeah.
because you're really stepping up for your ancestors. You're really stepping up for your community.
Right.
And you're creating a sense of community.
Facts.
And in doing that, you're performing an act of education and love.
That's true.
So those are like huge healing processes,
Yeah.
you know. And in terms of legacy, I don't know. I don't. That's a great question, and I don't really have a good answer for it, or one that I feel that's a good answer. But I can tell you that when you create an opportunity for people you don't even know to get involved,
Yeah.
and they come together in community, and you see young people, you know, picking up
Right. Caring.
a stake,
Yeah.
you know, like a piece of wood or litter in the cemetery. That is the legacy.
That's true.
When you see young people coming out and helping elders who are trying to clear away their grandfather's grave, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, and so that is the kind of legacy that building community makes available for people. And I know that some people have this morbid concept of death and like cemeteries and just this other stuff. But I think once you maybe heal from the fear or the trauma you have about death anyway,
Right.
and kind of realize that once you land foot on this earth, it's a one-way track, you know.
Period.
So you embrace it,
That's
and it
right.
really helps you grow.
Yeah.
And that growth is a beautiful thing.
It is.
When you see children, young people helping in this work, it's like I don't know what lies a month from now or a year from now, but when we have these opportunities for a community to come together, and you see young people stepping up, that's the legacy right there.
For sure. And there's no wrong or right answer or good or bad. It's what you think. And just like you said, You have family at San Jose Cemetery. So that is your legacy. You are their legacy of your ancestors. You're taking care of them. You're honoring them and respecting them by cleaning up and bringing community there for others whose loved ones are there. So I feel like that's legacy as well.
Yeah, and I've also often thought too, because as I said, I was an adopted kid, right? So I was kind of disconnected from most of my family.
Yeah.
But I often think like what they would think like, what this, who's this adopted kid that's coming back and like
Yeah.
taking care of us? It's just like it's kind of ironic because
Yeah.
I haven't met many of my family members that
Right.
embrace this work,
Mm-hmm.
primarily because maybe they just don't have an opportunity to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've always, just as a point of humor, always think about it's the guy on the outside that's stepping up and keeping some continuity with family legacy, with family ancestry. So
Wow.
that's all right.
Way to look at it, right? What a way to look at it. Well, if you would like to help Joaquin and the San Jose MCA cleanups, follow them on their Instagram at
San Jose Cemetery ATX.
San Jose Cemetery ATX, or you can send an email at info at
SanJoseMCA.org.
info at sanjosemca.org. Okay. Thank you so much, Joaquin, for being here. We appreciate you and all that you are doing for the community and for our ancestors and, making sure that they are remembered and honored. And so I appreciate you and thank you for coming here to Chantel Speaks.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Thank y'all again for joining us. You can follow us, like, comment, share on YouTube, Help Heal Happy, Heal. I'm sorry. Help HELP HEALHAPPY, Help Heal Happy. Because somebody was like, they thought I was saying HILL, and then they thought I was saying HEEL, and I was like, oh, well, you can spell heal 3 different ways. So that's why I'm spelling it. So follow us there on YouTube and all the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And you can follow me on Instagram, Chantel_Speaks. Donate to San Jose MCA. Donate to me. We need all the resources. I know you know somebody. Even the sharing is donating and supporting us. So please do that. And I want to shout out my shirt, Dream Together 2030. This is a initiative here that's going on in Austin. And I am a part of that as well as Joaquin. And so I wear shirts to promote or just represent people and their organizations and what they're doing in the community. And so in 2030, Dream Together's vision in Central Texas will be a model for justice, equity, shared conviction, and action aimed at creating a more prosperous, vibrant, and exciting future. And so they want to make sure the neighbors care for neighbors in such a fashion that citizens and visitors alike say Greater Austin cares deeply for all the people in the region. And so some of the initiatives, the pillars, the 8 pillars that they have is mental health, food disparity, health equity, community safety, foster adoption and support, workforce development, and equal quality education. And so when I came into this work, I was like, I do a lot of community safety work. I do a lot of mental health work. I mean, that's what Help Heal Happy is about. But I was like, I want to do something else. So I help with like food disparity, but they just keep pulling me into that mental health realm. So if you want to know more about Dream Together 2030, you can also follow them as well, and all of the information will be in the description. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll see y'all next time. Later.